Oh no, why is there an error? Okay. All right. Hi everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to Project We Inspire Facebook platform and YouTube channel. I am your host, creator, and founder, Rachel Maye. I'm from Sacramento, California. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight, this evening. Hopefully everybody is staying cool. It is super hot out there. Right now in California, in Sacramento, it's like 102 degrees. So please stay hydrated. No heat strokes, okay? If you're new to Project We Inspire, again, just want to remind everybody our mission here is to share stories of unique individuals who overcame barriers and challenges in order to accomplish their dreams, goals, and passions. So tonight we have a special guest that I've been wanting to have on Project We Inspire, and I've spoken to Sheeso before. So welcome, Sheeso. Xixo Moua is from Minnesota. He is the founder of Xixo Menswear and host of Talk podcast. So welcome, Sheeso.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so I know that we're both busy. We've been trying to schedule each other to come in and talk about, Sheeso's background. I've been following a lot of Sheeso's menswear, and of course ordered some for my boyfriend. And I'm so excited for Sheeso that he has a women's sportswear line coming on too. So we are so happy that you are here to join us at Project We Inspire and talk a little bit about what has gotten you to this point in your career and learn a little bit more about you. So let's start with your childhood. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and what were some significant events that you remember from your childhood?
Oh, let's go back. Like in other words, like puto u, right? Puto
Yeah,
u.
yeah,
I was, you know, I was born in SoCal actually, and in Santa Ana, Orange County.
yeah.
I am definitely not seeing that triple digits you guys are seeing now. I'm here in the Midwest, seeing about the miles, half of that 70, 80s. And, being a kid growing up, I was just your normal average kid, not too much of a troublemaker, out and about doing my thing. Nothing too special. Just your normal kid as a kid, and staying out of troubles at time.
That's great. You shared with me before that you were growing up picking strawberries.
That's correct. In the middle heat of California as a kid, I remember this in my early teens,
Yeah.
especially picking up strawberries. I'm pretty sure out in California there's plenty of strawberry fields, and I was that kid. I was that
Mhm.
kid because it's a way of, I would say, survival for mom and dad, for a side income to and long term ote, right? And
Yeah.
or pick strawberries. We didn't own a plantation or land at that point where we were just hired on to, hey, let's pick out this strawberry at this field. And being the oldest son, I was dragged in,
Yeah.
um, just like, hey, mom, mom's like, hey, we need you to be on the farm and help pick up strawberries. You could make a couple bucks. I'm just like, I got nothing to do in the summer.
Yeah.
Let's go pick strawberry.
Yeah, I have to say that my family has been farmers market producers for 25 years now, so I can totally relate to that. Currently we still sell strawberries, and so every Saturday or throughout the week. So I can tell you right now, it is so hot. I tell my mom now, I'm only going to be your seller. I'm going to market and help you promote, and be at the farmers market. But man, picking that, any strawberries or produce or flowers at 102, 110 degrees, I mean, it's pretty tough, out there. All right, so
And
moving on to thank you for sharing that. So also with as an adult, you said that you became self-employed and then you started to have like this niche for fashion. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
let's go even back further than that
Sure.
to, I actually used to own a car shop actively. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I used to own a car shop for a very long time, since I was like my early 20s, about 22, 23. And I started that car shop. I was just passionate. I love to do and hopping up cars. And having my mom is it's just one of those things. My mom was just like, "Why are you putting money in your car for? I don't get this." I mean, if you want to translate this, sure. I was like, and my mom's tongue too, like. 但业的哎，这不是有国钱去打钱啊, and my
Sounds like
mom
my
was
mom.
just like,
Classic mom.
exactly, right? Your classic mom. It's just like, why are you wasting your money in translation on this car? Like,
Yeah.
Mom, I just like doing it. I really enjoy doing this. I just really love enjoying it. And that led on to starting a car shop, and then that car shop kind of went for 15 years. But cutting back to the story about the menswear, in the middle of my 15 years, right around the middle, or towards kind of the three-quarter the end of that 15 years, I was always curious about not about fashion, about identity crisis. I just wanted to be in a public eye. I just want to be at the Mount New Year. I just want to be at the airport. I just want to be anywhere, be in a suit and tie, but just to see a small resemblance.
Mm-hmm.
And as I look during that time, this is 10 years, yeah, probably 10 years by now. As I look, whether it's on Amazon or Etsy or Google or anywhere, even your local Hmong village, can I find something for myself, for me to wear, to represent a little of Hmong, that again I could just go anywhere, just again be an identity again, right? Well, guess what? There's really nothing but a t-shirt. I can't put a t-shirt with a suit and tie on. It doesn't go together. A suit and tie doesn't go together. So that led me to a lot of curiosity of just making a small piece of accessory to represent for who I am. And that accessory started as a bow tie.
Yeah. That's so amazing because we do go out into the world with this identity somewhat crisis, if not we want to identify with our origin and who we are. And I've always thought, like, what if there was something that represents us out there, like you said, a bow tie or something formal that we can represent and say this is part of my culture. But for you to like go out there and be like, you know what, I really want something formal. That's great, because now with everything that's happened in your business, you have this this niche where you say, you know what, you can be fashionable and wear this when you are out having dinner, on a date, right? And I love the shoes, I love the belts. So with that said, you also had some venturing out with if I can say this right, trading and money and cash and stuff. So did that go together with your curiosity for fashion and identity as well? Because you kind of did, it looks like here you did both, or the same, or how did you venture out there?
It was kind of a few things put together as a younger kid. I was always, I would say, curious is the word for as far as what I've ever been doing, is always curiosity. And investing was one of them. It's just kind of how can you put money, let's say, for example, like a Roth IRA, or and it's like, how does that money grow? Like, it's not working. Like, who's working the money, right? Because you and I know, you go to the field of strawberry, you pick the strawberry, you sell the strawberry. That's time for labor, right? As I get older, and I'm just like, wait a minute, that's time for labor, but how does money make more money? It's kind of this curiosity type of thing, which I have friends and research and asking, how does this possible? What is this day trading? What's stock? I mean, what is this stuff? I did not know anything about investing or any financial literacy, literally. I mean, my mom and dad taught me to go to work, get paid, make good money, put it in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But I was more just curious of like, well, how can I make money work for me instead? So that's when, during the time of having my car shop, and kind of the end of the car shop, got me curious about getting into day trading, getting into to currency trading, like Forex, and stocks, to learn like how or what company should I buy? What should I buy into Amazon? Should I buy into Tesla? Should I buy into this stock?
Mm-hmm.
What is day trading? What's the difference between investing versus day trading? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of this stuff,
Yeah.
and learning as I go. And of course, as any investor in day trading, they might not admit it, but yeah, I've lost money. There's no shame in the game. Like, yeah, I've lost money, but I learned from that, and it's a mistake of just not in financial, but in career and in my path of making that mistake and making a product and then retry it again and learning that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got into day trading, and
Mm-hmm.
now I just strictly trade crypto. I'm just mainly more to crypto nowadays.
Wow, that's so cool. So what it sounds like is that you were in, your auto mechanic business, right, for 15 years or so, and then like you said, you were curious about fashion, wanting to create something that you can identify with your culture, and also trading. So when did that transition happen? When you finally said, "Hey, I think I can do this for a living. I want to move forward now," because I have to say, leaving a I would imagine like a very lucrative, if not successful, business for 15 years, right? And then going into fashion and then day trading, those are high risk, right? I was just thinking like those are risky moves where you have to like move forward in something different. But can you talk a little bit about what kind of made you say, this is it, I want to move to the next phase of my career with both of those
It
things?
it Every journey or life, I would say, life path has been an entrepreneur life path of changing in me.
Mm,
And let's go even farther back,
yeah.
which I'll get back to your question, is
Yeah.
that first 22, 23 of starting my own car shop,
Yeah.
right? That's a big trajectory from going to W-2. You're all in 1099.
Mm-hmm.
There's no going back. That's a
Mm-hmm.
big trajectory there, right? It's safe, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And that again was just curiosity of me starting that car shop, which led me for 15 years successfully. And then I sold it and exited
Mm-hmm.
that car shop. And then
Mm-hmm.
during the middle of that again is day trading and the menswear, which we're going to get back to. Um, Curiosity. A lot of what I've started was just more of very curious, very
Mm-hmm.
curious, and I'm very humble to say when I started my car shop, I was the first Hmong guy in the age of 22,
Mm-hmm.
23 to start one in Madison. And then I'm very humble again to start a menswear,
Mm-hmm.
that's been going on because when I did my research 10 years ago and
Mm-hmm.
going into menswear fashion or Hmong fashion, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
it was very dominant by women. I mean, there's local artists like yourself, like Hill Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
They're like veterans. They've been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's no. What about me? What about the guys?
Yes.
And the more I looked into it, I noticed something like the Hmong men's wardrobe has never been updated.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing been done. I mean, not a shot. I took it more than just a shirt. I'm
Mm-hmm.
making watches now and bow ties and
Yes.
cufflinks and
Mm-hmm.
socks. I went above and beyond to make it really unique brand
Yeah.
in what I do. Um, but back up on your point and a big trajectory of leaving my car shop of 15 years, I got outed of my building by lease, and I got forced by the landlord to leave.
Mm.
Uh, so being forced to leave, it made me a big decision. At the time, I had like two things going on: day trading and my menswear. And I took a long thought: should I reconsider the car shop again and just continue it again? And I took a long thought. And the more I think about this, I'm like, you know what? I think it's a path for me to try other things.
Mm.
Um, and at the time, my point in time, my back was hurting. I actually, at one time, my back really hurted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one other reason. Like, if I keep doing this, or any hard labor job as a car
Mm-hmm.
shop, it's a young man's game, right?
It is.
It's
It
all
is.
it is. It's a young man's game, and my back was just like I'm in pain.
Yeah.
And of course, getting forced out of my lease, that was one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had other side business going on too. I've been screwed over at the car shop before.
Mm-hmm.
My car shop's been broken into. Stuff's
Mm-hmm.
been stolen out of cars too. Um, I wanted another business that's more remote.
Mhm.
Because having a car shop, it's a brick and mortar. Right?
Yeah.
I'm stuck, and to me, the car shop was a glorified job. That's the best way to say it,
Yeah.
right? It was a glorified job where I got paid very well. I did the job. I got paid. Again, changing time for money, and that was a big trajectory of me going towards this direction where a lot of what I do was just a lot more remote. Uh,
Mhm.
I would say with day trading, all you need is a Wi-Fi and a laptop. With
Mm.
e-commerce, again, a Wi-Fi and a laptop,
Yeah.
and so forth. It's just a Wi-Fi and a laptop, and I wanted to venture on into a different path
Mhm.
in my life. So
Yeah, that's so cool because my dad was also that's I was curious about it because my dad was also a mechanic for I believe almost 13, 14 years too. And when he decided to go over to do farmers market and produce, um, he said similar things to what you said. Was he said the I don't know if you remember this, but for those of you who grew up in like the 80s and 90s, do you remember Montgomery Ward?
yes, of
so
course.
he so he used to work for a mechanic shop for Montgomery Ward, and then it became Sears, and that's when it was
Mm-hmm.
old, right? So he was
Mm-hmm.
there for so long, and it didn't go well for the businesses, obviously, and so he got to that point in his career too. And he was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this because he was also experiencing physical pain. And he didn't even know if he really wanted to go from one, in his case, manual labor to another. But he was like, I, want to be in a different, business now. I want to still work for myself, or I still want to be lucrative in what I'm doing, but I want something that's more where I meet more people. I mean, it's still labor intensive when you think about farming, but there's those moments when you go to the farmer's market and you meet with people, interact with people, and he was longing for that. So I really like the idea that you were like, it was just kind of time to move forward. It's time to move on and move to the next part. And you followed it sounds like you followed your intuition, it almost looks like, and just, kind of like your destiny. So I was just thinking like, wow, the kind of like what my dad did with this farmers market. With that said, with the many years of working here or working in the auto mechanic for 15 years, you also shared in your bio that there was many stories or lessons that you learned. Do you mind sharing with us some of the things that you have brought from your mechanic business that really helped you and inspired you to move forward with the day trading and your menswear line?
Some few example of course doing business is just um, I would say having here's a good example. Here's one. Having them paid half down and
Mm-hmm.
then to pay later. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
guess what's happened? They don't pay later, right?
That's
So it's one of those things like I
yeah,
learned from doing that, right? Again, I didn't go to school. I people ask me where'd you go to school? I say I went through Harvard,
yeah.
you know. And when people say you went to Harvard, I said I went through Harvard, So, but
Good
that
luck.
was one. So that was just one of the lessons I learned from that is just like put your foot down, know
Mm-hmm.
where you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
If it's $100 labor an hour,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be $100 labor,
Mm-hmm.
fair and square.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm much wiser in business, if I put my foot down and say, "Hey, it's gonna be $200," it's gonna be $200,
Yeah.
and that's that. Before I was just kind of like, "Oh yeah, you just give me a 6-pack beer and a couple bucks, it's good to
Mm-hmm.
go," And
Mm-hmm.
again, just one of those naming your price, and that's have to do with confidence, I would say too, and
Yeah.
putting your foot down and knowing your value is the key thing, knowing your value of what you're worth, and putting your foot down like, hey, it's going to be this much.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them the estimate, what's going to be done to it. And one thing I did learn and moving and some things that I've learned and moved it towards my new business is building relationship, a lot of PR
Mm-hmm.
that I always done, and of course building team. When I was there, it was kind of me for most of the time, and I had to have guys who worked with me. But moving forward, when building new business, I said if I don't have this business and it doesn't have these three things: asset, residual, and leverage, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do these business because the car shop, I didn't know how to leverage. It was just me most of the time, right? And again, I would say I was maybe controlling. I would say somewhat controlling. It was just like, hey, I got this. I would say controlling, maybe more like selfish. Just kind of like, I'll work on this, no problem. I got nothing better to do. I'll work on this 12 hours a day. Be done. 2 cars done. That whatever. That's $2,000. It's done for the day, right? And then go the next day. But I mean, again, it's a young man's game. I could do that. I'm not 20. I'm 40 now. And not knowing how to leverage that. Hey, why don't if I hire somebody and have them work on it? Whereas in what I do now, I have employees. I have 2 people I got to mentor and they are interns for me now, which I didn't put. I didn't do that. I didn't leverage the knowledge and my strengths. Like, hey, or if I'm not good at something, I can leverage it. So that's a life lesson that I learned too. If I'm not, or if I don't, let's say for example, if a car is a Lamborghini, I don't know how to work in a Lamborghini, so don't touch it. Just say, hey, I recommend this friend. We should go here. Versus before I worked, I'm only just a lot of import cars and mainly Jap cars. And this is for example, there's a European BMW car. Like, hey, yeah, bring it in. Even though I sort of knew what I was doing, but really I just want them to come in and I can figure it out and get paid for it. But it actually took longer for me to figure it out because again, I was figuring it and doing it at the same time versus just like, hey, I'm not an expert at this. I do know what I'm kind of doing, but at the same don't. But then just admitting that, say, hey, you know what? It's better if you go to this shop. And that's it. Don't waste the time and just stick on what you're doing. So again, back to implementing these lessons into my new business. Some of the practice again, leveraging people, find the best people, interns, being a better leader to these men or women that are working for me to help me build the business. Again, those are a lot of just a few of the life lessons of implementing some of the old business to new business, and of course massively networking, a lot more social media than ever before. Just again some few things that I learned, just to name a few, and it's been a life lesson. And again, to this day, I'm still learning, guys and girls. I'm still learning.
Yeah, I definitely see so much professional growth, especially that I've known, several young men, if not peers or cousins, that worked on cars throughout, growing up from high school, also owned their own shop. And then I've never heard of a young man going over to fashion and day trading and what you're doing now, podcasting. So that's why I was like, I wonder what, you learned from all of that and what you brought over. And I can totally see here that you mentioned about knowing your worth and being confident in asking for the price for the merchandise and the products that you've produced and created. Because I do see that a lot of the times when people would ask my dad to color your file and like go high na look oh kuchumunya ke kumo abi don lo kumo o makono or kuma cambio to how or my dad wasn't a drinker, but I mean there was a lot of like service and like trading versus really paying you for your worth. And I really like that idea of knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing the value of your products and your services, and not being afraid to ask for that. But definitely for sure, like you said, knowing how to be a good leader and having people to work with you, for you. But those are really valuable: asset, residual, leverage. I'm taking notes because I'm still learning too, everyone. I'm still learning. And thank you for taking that step and moving forward with that, because for sure, I think that this is where most of our business is probably going now. Like you said, is remote, and it's going to be more of social media based now versus manual labor. So I definitely see the growth.
I got to add on to one thing why I went to this trajectory too, because I'm like, I'm just starting in my early 40s, and I said, I'm gonna be prepared to be a stay-at-home dad, a stay-at-home entrepreneur. I want to see my little one grow up. So my future wife,
Mm-hmm.
she could kind of do whatever, But I could see all that because I've already established like a work at home business, right? Podcasting or e-commerce, day trading, you know. And a future business coach as well too. Again, a lot of these are just stay at home with
Mm-hmm.
my two naughty little ones running around someday, right?
Someday, yeah,
I hope
someday.
I yeah, but at least one thing is I'm preparing myself for that position already where I could do that because I've established a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
I could still do with the car show, but it still requires me to kind of like a 9 to 5 job,
Yeah,
versus I'm here, but the little one's in home with me,
yeah.
So that's back to a lot of the reason besides my back, but just positioning myself to be a stay-at-home dad, a stay-at-home
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, um, and just totally by mistake,
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit, and
Mm-hmm.
I was well positioned into where I was at already because I had my e-commerce shop going, I had a podcast ready, so just totally by mistake, I was like, I'm already working at home, nothing's really changed
Yeah,
really, so
yeah,
just got to double down on that too. So,
yeah.
but a lot for where we're going, it's got to be like I got to learn how to make money online as well too, besides just picking up a wrench and turning a wrench. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, bring that
Yeah,
back.
I totally admire that she's so that like you said by mistake, especially when COVID hit. As we know, a lot of people were asked to stay home, and I was one of the employees. I'm a social worker clinician, so a lot of our work was transferred to being remote and home, and it was very new to some of us. So I was gonna say here that non-traditional view of not right having an office and going to a workplace, now it is the new norm of working from home, being remote, being online. I feel like that's also, or I've observed that that's the trend now. And like you said, you positioned yourself to where you can not you don't have to rely on working out of your home anymore. And I think a lot of people have learned that from COVID. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come here and talk with the Project We Inspire community, because I want people to know also that it's perfectly okay to have a remote business like what you're doing. I remember the first conversation we had, you were talking about, oh, I have these recordings and I do this and I do that and I don't have to step out of my house. And I was like, oh man, lucky you. I have to go drive from here to another city to 30 minutes in the 102-degree weather. You know how they've said studies have showed that if you drive long distance, road rage and driving is very stressful. But to work from home, like you said, now you can prepare for your future children, future wife, and be established at home, and you don't have to worry about checking in, um, you know, away from home, right? So that's something that I hope that the community will learn right now is that you have lucrative businesses and you ventured out. It was risky, but you took it. So I want to also transition over to your Talk podcast. You're absolutely right with this when we talked about there's so many opportunity spaces for women to share about their life choices and dreams and goals, but there's not enough opportunities for Hmong men, right? And so tell us a little bit about what got you to this podcast and yeah, to just share with the world what like what is Hmong Men talk about right now.
It started about almost 2 years now. Um, being a single guy, I was just out on the dating phase and meeting to a friend, and she was just talking about Hmong men, and the majority when I talk to single Hmong women, it's almost more negative than it is positive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I make a podcast about this? Just talk about what Hmong men talk about in a circle where we drink beer or we on a campfire, uh, and just maybe it could be very uplifting or it could just be downright BS talking about men. It's just talking about
Mhm.
men because as I look at the community, there's great other organization like Hmong Woman Today with Annie and all that
Mhm.
talk with Liz and Kelly and them, which is all women stuff. I mean, some men, but still, I'm just more focused on the men. And it started because I was just itching to start a business. do something because I left my car shop. I was
Yeah.
like, I want to do something, and I think podcasting would be great. I could be at home, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give a lot of content, a lot of value. I'm gonna bring a lot of home in, and I was just networking. I've met some I've just met some ordinary Hmong dudes, but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, extraordinary stories. I
Yes.
mean, we're talking to a guy who was an ex-gang member who got shot 3 times, one in the head, one by the manhood down there, and by the
Wow.
leg. And if you're old enough to remember, that was the first Fresno drive-by shooting gang member that happened in Fresno. That
Wow.
was the guy I talked to.
He
He was
survived.
yeah, of course, that's why he's on the podcast. And he's not the one shooting the gun. He got the receiving end of the gun,
Yeah.
and he was one of the biggest notorious at the time. But
Hmm.
stories like that, we're not here to be solicited or affiliate with who he used to be. It's more how he became a better man to society.
Yes.
That's the key punchline I want to give out to
Yes.
his story, because a lot of majority when you're a thug, there's two ways: you're dead or in jail. There's kind of like, and sometimes like him, if you of them hurt, it came out better than they are,
Yeah.
But majority they're just dead and in jail. So there's other stories like a guy a Hmong guy who hiked 45,000 miles.
Wow.
45,000 miles.
Wow.
He done the Triple Crown 3 times. So I'm like, this is a very interesting guy. This is interesting. So just again, ordinary Hmong dude, extraordinary stories on the podcast. And of course, during COVID, I had a friend who lost their job, and they reach out like, hey, Xixo, I own a couple of business. I lost my job right in COVID. I was thinking about starting this business. Like, you know what? I give you my story how I started my car shop, started my e-commerce brand. But I do know a lot of Hmong men who started their own business, and then they're in real estate, they're in a restaurant, they're in a food truck, whatever they are. I could have them come on the show and kind of have a chat about how they started it. And AKA, it's called How I Built It, another sector on bi-weekly Wednesday, or how they started it. This sushi bar or this food truck or this real estate stuff that's something to inspire these guys or some girls to start their own business. And that's how that started too, a whole sector of its own. But that's just a podcast in a nutshell. That's just a podcast in a
That's
nutshell.
so amazing because I can relate to that with all the stories, and I've actually been always interested too with conversations that Hmong men have. Not to say I'm trying to be nosy, but I've always been interested to just hear if we women, Hmong women or women are talking about this. I'm pretty sure the Hmong men are talking about let's say relationships, right? About marriage, about being the breadwinner versus owning your own business. So, or just like you said, BS talk. I'm sure that, there are a lot of Hmong men out there who are wanting to talk about starting their own business and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's so cool that somebody actually has a podcast now that allows a safe place. And like you said, extraordinary stories with ordinary people, especially with like an individual who survived the first Hmong gang shooting, and to be comfortable enough to share about their journey with you and with the community. So I just love that. And I think that's what really, I think interests me, right? And getting to know you as a person and your business and who you are. And I hope that our community, with Project We Inspire, in our community in general, knows that like some of us go through so many different, I guess you could say, paths to get to where we're at, right? And we never really know where we end up, but then sometimes life just leads us to talking to people and sharing people's stories. So with that said, what are some very interesting, insightful topics that you maybe have been surprised by that Hmong men talk about? Because I'm curious as a Hmong woman that
there's so much content. Wow, there's so much more content.
Top three.
I would honestly want to get more talking about relationship, to be honest. I don't talk too much about it, although we have a kind of a celebrity, aka Mr. Hmong Tender Food. Sean has been on the show to talk about Hmong Tender a little bit, but we have not talked much about that, which I should find guests to. But in the past, we started that channel again about business, and on Fridays we talk about day trading. again, that's not much about relationship. It's just more about finance, about us
Yeah.
doing business, and then the regular podcast is just more of a, I would say, lifestyle, right? The ex gang member, a guy who hiked 45,000 miles,
Yeah.
a Hmong kid who is the first, or is professional League of Legend player. He's ranked #1.
Wow.
Um, but not too much relationship, and there's more content to come. I got another podcast coming soon about a Christian guy,
Yeah.
and he's not, again, he says to himself he's not your ordinary Christian guy,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to record him.
Oh.
And again, and after that, I got another guest I'm going to be talking to about a shaman guy.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
different topic of it, but we would love to talk more about relationships,
Mhm.
the modern Hmong women.
Yeah.
Why are more Hmong men, even as myself, early 40s guys, not married,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
some, well,
Yes.
I'm
I
pretty sure you
want
have
to
brothers
know.
like that
I
too,
want to
right?
know.
So where we're not married, or even the modern Hmong women, I would
Yeah.
say I would say maybe mid-30s.
Yeah.
They're maybe divorced, and
Mhm.
it's just like, wow, because here's my issue here. I'm in my early 40s. A lot of these women, and me, it's just like they're all divorced. They're all great
Mhm.
women,
Mhm.
but really, as a man myself who is a lot younger, and even not only myself, even friends of mine who are early 40s or late 30s, in their
Mhm.
30s, just single, never been married. It's like, I just want a woman who's never been married.
Yeah.
I prefer that, and
Mhm.
like, I feel the same way too. Although some divorced women they're amazing,
Mhm.
they're amazing women as well too. But again, majority of these guys just like, I don't think I'm gonna be marrying. It's like, why is that? I mean, it's just a big headache.
Yeah.
The government or the state, it's really rooted to make the women, because if we get married and things go bad sour, a
Mhm.
majority of the women's going to take a lot of the asset, etc.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're kind of a losing for all the hard work of building this car shop, building all this.
Mhm.
It's like all this
Mhm.
hard work for this. It makes
Mhm.
me kind of think, and some of these other men we talk to, like, I don't know if I want to get married, or if I do, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go overseas
Yeah.
to find a woman there and marry her. And just as we were talking, he's like, "Why is that?" It's just like, well, uh, uh, they're just easy going. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what are you looking for? And when they ask me that, I'm like, it's men are really simple creatures.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for is just very simple, like submissive,
Yeah.
femmy, friendly, and it's just very and fit.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just what I'm looking for. And a lot of these guys are single, just like, I'm kind of looking about the same thing too.
Mhm.
So again, we're just a bunch of single guys just talking like, man, why is it this just so hard to find? We're getting into
Mhm.
our late 30s. And I'm pretty sure you have brothers that are about maybe in that age, in their
Yeah,
30s.
I have one brother in particular. When you start to talk about I was thinking about the ratio, like the divorced women in their late 30s to 40s right now are mainly divorced women, right? And have kids already. And I have a brother who is 38. He knows who he is. No names, but he was like, "How come all you Hmong women or all the women out there are divorced or have kids or have been married at least once?" And I haven't even found the one yet, or I don't really know where I'm going with my life because I'm looking for this type of woman. And it's similar to what you said, somebody who's friendly, somebody who um, is able to cook, who doesn't work as much, but can work and is able to contribute to not only the family, but, is able to have somewhat of a career and can go, is flexible. And I was like, well, these days, I think the definition of a woman or a woman has changed, it's totally changed. And so
I haven't.
what?
Just,
Like,
just,
because
just, just, just you talking. I think your brother. It's just like you talking to me. Just like I think I talked to your brother already.
yeah,
Even though I never did. But
right,
he's
right,
just looking for someone who's just friendly, fit, and femmy. That's all we ask. Like, seriously, I don't look for a woman who has a really big career, or she don't have to have a
yeah,
PhD. To be
yeah,
honest, I don't care about that.
yeah,
I really don't care
yeah,
about your school. Honestly don't care. Or how
yeah.
much money you make. I
Or
says,
what kind
I
of car you
don't
drive.
care. Or what kind
Yeah,
of
or
car.
where you
I
yeah.
don't care about that.
Right,
Seriously.
right.
So if I'm pretty sure your brothers agree with me, and some of the other guys like we really don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I keep telling these women, about like, so seriously, what are most, what I'm talking about, I'm going to be very confident. What do
Mhm.
most men look for? Like, seriously, it's
Mhm.
very simple.
Mhm.
How good you look in a lingerie. We're visual creatures.
Yes,
We're
yes.
very visual creatures here. I hate to be shallow, but you want
No,
me
it's
blunt? I'm
true.
being blunt.
Nine
I'm
times
being
out of
blunt. It's how
10,
you look
yes.
in a lingerie, literally.
Yes, my brother had mentioned, and a few of my guy friends said, and this is something that I talk with my boyfriend all the time, is we really want a woman who takes care of her body and her, her skin and her face, and right. And I said, really, but then they also want, like my brother and friends have said, it's somebody who knows how to cook and know traditional things, right? It's not, they're like, he was like, I don't care if you have a degree, I don't care if you make six figures, but I really just want somebody that I can come home to and have a nice evening with, right? And have a
See,
nice I'm like, oh
simple.
my
We're
gosh.
so simple. We're so simple creatures. It's just.
But you know what? I won't speak on all of the the Hmong women or women, but I have to say that because I'm so career driven, I think about those things. I'm like, oh, I have to go back and get my doctorate degree. I have to do this. I have to do that, and I have to learn how to cook these variety of dishes. And I need to be this. I have to wear this, and then I now like listen more to the men, and they're like, no, it doesn't have to be that complicated. It can be
We're
very
very simple. Like I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna speak on all the men. Actually, it's like it's very simple. We have simple needs. Again, getting fed. Right. I call this sandwich and sex. That's how simple is that?
so
Did I say education? No. Did I say money? No, I didn't say any of that. I just said sandwich and sex. That's being
yeah.
so simple. It's all we ask. We can provide. We can build business. We could do that as a man.
Mhm.
That's because we're
Mhm.
providers. So very simple. And I'm pretty
Oh
sure
my
your brother
goodness.
is probably gonna relate to this too.
He's the same way. He was just like, why are you even so complicated? And we used to have literally nightly evening talks about how he can figure out this girl he's dating, or what is this girl, what does she mean when she says this, or why did she do this? And he's like, why can't I just get somebody who just is simple, like I don't need all of that, I don't, and I said, maybe perhaps at this point the ratio is that most of us Hmong women have made things maybe a little bit complicated, but have went over and above and achieved things, because I have to admit that in our culture they expect a lot out of us, and there's always this standard. I call it like an invisible standard of expectations for Hmong women to do this and that above. And I can just say, like, just I can speak for myself with my with my parents and my mom, is like, I can get an education and do this, make this much money, but it's nothing compared to my brothers. And I'm just like, what is that? But I've learned now that going back to relationships, really what it comes down to, my boyfriend reminds me all the time, I just want a simple meal. And I just want, a simple evening. And you don't have to, like he says, you don't have to do all these things. You can just be you. So I'm really learning now that sometimes, we can just do the simple things, learn how to cook, like he will say a simple Hmong traditional meal. Ang kai hao, right? And fresh.
I'm hoping you're taking notes, because again,
I am. I'm
it's
taking
being
notes.
repetitive. If your boyfriend's saying this, if your brother's saying this, I'm saying this.
I
I
am.
mean, I call it the four S's, right? Simple. We want silent. Again, sandwich and sex. I mean, how simple is that?
Yes.
It's. I mean,
Yeah.
your brother's saying it. Your boyfriend's saying it.
Yeah.
I'm saying this. We don't
Yep.
care about your education. We don't care about your money. We don't care.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about, I think, being, as we both are hosts, right, of our own shows, is that we begin to talk about these very, very interesting topics about relationships, with how we've changed now. Because again, like you said, Hmong men are now becoming more single status at the ages of 35 to 40 something, right? They're not looking to even get married. And right now I can say, right, I can just support what you said earlier about my boyfriend's like, I don't think I want to get married again. My brother was like, there's no need to get married. I don't want to make my life complicated. And so I was like, what's complicated about being married to a woman? And then they go, oh, we can go on for days about that. But now I'm learning to be humble and just say, okay, let's make it simple. Let's stick with the simple things. And like you said, your 4 S's. So I think that'll be an interesting topic eventually later, to have people to come in and to compare the ratio right now, because I know that my brother has asked me, I'm not going to out him. My brother, my boyfriend, has asked me lots of questions about, why don't you women say this or do that, and then I go, that would be a great topic to talk about. But I hope one day when you do have that podcast, we can all join and listen and give our feedback, because I think it'll be so interesting.
I think we need to get some single men and women and married men and women, and we'll call this a round table.
Yes.
A round table talk, right? And have a talk about relationship and so forth, for both single and divorced, and also married individuals. And again, it's very simple on what we need on that. But your brother, he's like, and many of some of the friends, like even myself, I thought I'll be married by my late 30s, at least 30, right?
Yeah.
And or at most by now, but that never happened. As you can see, I'm very career oriented, right? So it's kind of like career first. Absolutely, I'd love to get married and have kids, but it's like I said, career first. I'm very driven at that. I'm going to build more business and keep doing that. And speaking to someone on behalf of these men's, if they're not, if they're getting, if they're getting women, then what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what I'm trying to say is, if I could get the milk for free, why buy the cow? Right? That's the point. And, I'm getting to with this. Why bother? There's no point.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If you're talking to a traditional women, which they're almost really close to none nowadays, which is rare to find, why are we doing that? And these guys are just like, well, why would I bother getting married? I'd rather just single, be driven, do what I want, and get the milk for free.
Yeah. And I also learned too, Sheeso, that the traditional relationships is like, okay, and I could be totally wrong, and please, correct me. But I also learned that when you get married, there's some form of control both ways of what you can, like you said, do outside of home. What your work hours, what you can and cannot do, who you can talk to, both ways. I've heard it from both men and women now. And I realized that when you are not married, there isn't the obligation of restrictions, because these days, as we know, like you are doing now, is that your work hours are not traditional 8 to 5 anymore. And you do a lot of remote stuff, and you are promoting outside of your circle, and you're doing things beyond what we used to do, like you said, as a car owner, auto mechanic. And we are beginning to reach out. And so now the roles and the expectations and everything in our life and career is changing, right? It's getting bigger and more vast. So I think that with that said, a lot of the men are becoming more independent. My observation, they are becoming more career driven. They understand that if I get married, to some extent, I may be limited, just like some women are believing that I will be limited to what I can and can't do. But it definitely takes now, what I'm learning every day is, it's going to definitely take both men and women from both sides to be like completely open now. Open as in the traditional work times are changing. Like you said, it's not traditionally just 8 to 5 anymore. It's around the clock. It is a remote. Sometimes people now have 2 to 3 businesses or careers going at the same time. So I think with that said, definitely the relationships are going to change as well between men and women, if not just amongst each other, because our lives are, I think, very, fast paced now, especially with social media and with everything that's happening nowadays. So I'm thinking.
I'm just going to add on to my opinion. I'm just going to add on to my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Well, I would say yeah, we're going independent, but to be honest, we love to get married, to have a wife and kids, and and sandwich on the table when we get home.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these majorities single women, divorced or not, they're focused on their career or their job, um, over anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they don't want to get married, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
Mm-hmm.
with that.
Yeah.
It's when you turn almost into your late 30s and 40s, and these women wants to get married, you know, and and guess what happened?
Mm.
The guys are going for younger women,
Mm-hmm.
a lot younger. I mean, we're talking 20 plus, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
age, right?
Mm-hmm.
20 to about 35, but majority are trying to get 20s year old women here. So it's just like, why would I choose you?
Mm-hmm.
And these women don't understand, like, again, we don't care about your money. You might have it by now in your 30s, but we don't care about it. I keep
Mm-hmm.
getting that out. We don't care about that stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
keep saying, like, we just want to see how you look in your lingerie. That's all we really care about. It's really simple to that too, and have sandwich at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But for the girls who are going for the career, yeah, it's the US. Go for it. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna chase that career and go into your late 30s and not married,
Mm-hmm.
great. But if you want to get married, again, and I know as a woman, like your fertility rate kind of,
Yep, it goes
it's
down.
yeah. So we all
Yep.
know that biologically, right? We all
Yeah.
know that. And if you're in your late 30s trying to have kids, is it possible? It's kind of those kind of, it gets iffy, right? Type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
So my opinion, I suggest that women should get married in their 20s.
Yeah.
They're actually in their most hottest phase. Really, they're the most gorgeous age in that phase, and get married in 20 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond 30s is like you should have one kid by now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but as a man, we're holding out a lot longer because we're chasing career. Sure, some get married earlier, some don't. Like myself, I'm still here, single guy, doing my own thing. I'm just doing my career and doing my thing. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't have. Yeah, some men do have fertility, but we're not like a woman where right in the 30s it's really just goes downhill.
Yeah.
Some men could still hold up to about 40, 50 and still have
Mm-hmm.
kids still actually,
Yeah.
for that too. So, but that's just besides kids. But what men should be doing is focusing on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key thing. What they should be doing is actually it's just focusing on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's their health, their wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and themselves, mentally, physically.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the women goes, it's great. Be great to have a job too. But at the end of the day, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I, I'm telling you, a lot of these independent women who are in their late 40s, and
Yeah.
they're really wealthy, making six figure,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually really miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're actually really miserable.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I've learned that too, and now I'm beginning to observe that the career driven individuals, women and men, or mainly women now, like you said, they will be in their 40s and then they look back and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't have someone to be there to share this with me. And I was thinking that way too as I'm entering into my 40s now. I'm like, now that I'm going to be establishing my career moving forward, I want a partner. But again, it's those expectations, right? The simple, and simple life. And so I
I
realized,
can't say it. You're saying it yourself. Because
yeah, yeah.
guess what? Guess what? When they look back in your 40s, like yourself, the most valuable thing that you want,
Mm-hmm.
the most that you're gonna miss, is a little one running to you, right when
Yeah.
you come at home at work.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah.
that's the
Yep.
most valuable thing right there, and
Yeah.
I want that too.
Yeah.
But again, you're in your 40s,
Mm-hmm.
and biologically, your fertile rate is just
Yeah.
down. It's going down the sink. You know,
Yep.
I mean, you could say, yeah, you could freeze your eggs. You could be trollers like that. And like, look, your best was under 40 because by the time you could still do that, but still, I'm just saying it's better just have 20 and 30 for men working on themselves. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these women, or let's say some of these women that are in their 30s, or sometimes even older, or
Mm-hmm.
even divorced, they're just looking for the five things in men:
Mm-hmm.
six-pack ab, 6 feet tall, six figure, uh, 6 inches down there. I'm just like, look, lady, you're what you're wanting is unrealistic. It's unrealistic here, and he has to be a looks of not even a 6. He's got to be like an 8, 9, 10 in looks. It's just like, lady, you're not gonna get that. Be realistic here. You're not gonna get that guy. And yeah, you might have but that's you in your late 30s. But this guy who maybe is the one in your chase, that's the top 10% of your chasing out there. First off, they're not gonna want you. You're in your late 30s and probably going into your 40s. They could easily talk to a woman in her 20s. Like Caprio. Look at him. He's a movie star. He's talking to 20-year-old women. I mean, here's a great example. That might be movie star, but even real life.
Yeah,
like, they're not gonna go after the girls. The girls just don't understand that they're gonna be like, oh, I have a degree. Again, like I keep telling you, we don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, and I just remember just having these mini conversations and just nightly, if not weekly, with my family, and then again with my boyfriend, and they're just like, no, we just want simple things. So I think moving forward, I definitely would support a round table of conversations with single and divorced folks to talk about relationship and what the expectations are now, because I think it would be such an interesting talk. I would love to be a part of it. I would love to view it. However, I think that'd be a great, topic. So with that said, thank you so much for sharing your opinion. I want to move over to talk a little bit more about your Xixo Menswear. You wrote a bio for me that said you've been doing it for 8-9 years now, and you've established it back in November 2013. And so I'm curious if you could tell the audience also, what were some of your, strong influences that help you create the Xixo Men's brand?
The idea was just more of a pleasure than anything. An identity crisis. I just want to be in a suit and tie anywhere in the world and just have a little bit of bandao on me to show that, oh, go hello, right? And he just without asking me, hey, are you Hmong? Like, yeah, of course. But just seeing me wearing that, he knows that, right? Like, that's a Hmong guy. He just speak in the native tongue, right? And Hmong. So that was 10 years ago, and leading on to prior to really launching it, it really validated the idea when I was in Fresno, New York at a bar, and I had 2 gorgeous women on my side, but I was buying drinks, and the Mexican bartender was like, "Hey, man, that's a really nice bow tie, man." It's like that looks like the color I'm looking for, the lavender, and for a wedding. It's like, yeah, can I take a closer look? And I took it off and I handed it. He's like, man, this is really nice. So, where'd you get it? I was like, actually, I'm the brand. I'm the owner. He's like, really? He's like, can I buy this? Dude, it's yours. You know what I'm saying? That's before I even had the brand name. It's just like, dude, it's yours. We have more at the house. So I sold it to the guy, the Mexican guy. And then another one that really validated the idea was Tujer Shon. Of course, we know who he is. He bought one off my neck too as well. And for you, Tujer, my sweat and my COVID, I'm gonna charge you extra if it's coming off of me. And he still bought it for more. Talk to Tujer about it. No joke. So these things created again good old supply demand as business, right? That's when I really looked at 10 years ago. Like, is this idea needed? Is this niche needed? Is this brand needed? Can I make a brand out of this? And that's when I really dive deeper. Can I get this on Amazon? Can I get a Hmongmentalk? Can I go to anywhere? And all said and done, I was like, I just can't find anything for myself that says Guya Hmong, right? Without saying big and bold, Guya Hmong. It's just a very subtle watch or a bow tie, Guya Hmong. And just like that, and you're like, you know what? Having these guys validate the idea, and there were orders online before I even had a website. I already had demand. I know that I got to make the supply, and it will sell. So this goes back to my mom again, and my mom's tongue. Oh my goodness. Again, my mom is very supporting though. She's scolding me as she's sewing too. Just so much tough.
Hey, that's mom. If they're not scolding you and helping you at the same time, to me, that's not a real Hmong mom. So they have to be like, I'm still doing this, right? And then in the meantime, you're selling it. In the meantime, she's selling, or like in my mom's case, yeah. My mom's
She
making
wants
the
to see
boat.
yesterday's billionaire for sure, though. She
Exactly.
wants to see, Mom, this is not going to happen. It takes time to build business. It's not going to be tomorrow, yesterday's billionaire, right? So it takes time to build. It'll slowly work itself there. So, then it really validated the idea. And just like that, my first launch was bow ties. It's gone on to ties. Now we got like socks and watches and sneakers now. And it's a whole brand. And then from then on, I've learned about other collab, about other fashion designer, again, local to you, again, Hell Tribe, and such too, to know that, these ladies been doing it for quite a while and what they're doing, and working with them as well, or just networking with them, just talking to them.
Yeah.
It just led on to its whole brand of its own, which I'm very humbled about it. And just a little facts about it. The brand name is actually pronounced like my name, but it's not spelled the same as my name. As you can see right in front of your screen, it says Sheeso, right? But the way it's spelled for my brand name is Xixo. And I'm telling you, one thing about starting a brand name, when you type that in, make sure to Google that. Okay, you search the brand name you're looking for to make sure everything is legit. Because if I put 3 triple X's and put Google, you know what you're gonna see on the screen already. You don't.
Hold on.
And you don't do So again, make sure that everything looks legit before registering it, right? Make it legit, or I don't want you to go backward and get a name, whatever it is, right? And then you're happy, and guess what? It's taken, or the image on Google is like something else you don't want it to be known for, right?
Yeah, so, I think I made a
life lesson. Live a life lesson. Business lesson.
Yeah, I think I made a mistake the other day, and I put XOXO, and that's into brand too. So yes, please everybody make sure you don't type in XXX, XOXO. You're not gonna get Xixo, XIXO. Definitely, we can have, Sheeso. And if you go to Project We Inspire, you will see the website, there, and you'll see the correction. Because yes, if you type more X's and O's, if you type, anything else like XOXO, you're gonna get a different brand. So make sure that you go Xixo Menswear. So, also, I really want to talk about your women's sportswear line. And I was just looking at the different designs. I love it. The purple, the traditional colors, and the, like Hmong, what is it called? The oh my God. Yeah, Shinji, right? That is a part of the sports bra. Is so creative, and I love that. And so I was going to say that I think having also Hmong women's sportswear line as part of your identity, to say, hey, that's totally Hmong. I think it's going to be really, I've always wanted something like that too. And that's why when I saw it, I was like, wow, how nice, that we can actually wear something when we're focusing on our health and fitness, and we have something that represents who we are. So I'm, excited. I'm going to start looking through your line and see what I can wear, because I definitely want to start on my health and fitness journey too. I noticed that now I'm in my 40s. I definitely do not have and I'm sure a lot of women can relate to this. They don't have the same, body like they used to. It seems like your metabolism just stops working after you have kids, or, especially after you hit your 30s and 40s. Our metabolism is much slower than men, right, most of the time than men. So I definitely want to try the products out, because I did buy some of the Xixo menswear items for my boyfriend, and he loves it. He's into belts, and so we bought a big belt for him. But tell us a little bit more about your sports women's wear line. What got you to start doing that that transition?
During the build of Sheeso's menswear, I would have women asking me, "Do you make women's wear?" I'm like, no, there's so many out there. Actually, if you look again, I can name countless names actually of Hmong inspired dresses, Hmong inspired jewelry, Hmong inspired who knows what down there. There's a lot of actually for women. And so I kind of stayed away for it because like the ladies could fight over the stuff, because it's on there. You go
Yeah.
Facebook marketing, it's there. Trust me, it's there. If you look for it, it's there. You can find
Yeah.
all sorts of great stuff. These women are very talented at what they do. So I just kind of stay away from the space. But during my menswear, I had an intern. She was asking about women's wear as well too. I'm like, oh, you're not the first person to ask this, And then having her as an intern, like, you know what? If I have you as an intern, would you launch this with me and with some friend on a friend too? Because I need your help. I'm doing other business as well, but I have you to do other part. Again, leveraging exactly, and these fundamentals are that I've learned. I'm implementing them to my other business. Same thing with the brand as well. But back to the story. Utilizing her to do this part of the business and using her to do this part of the business as well too. So just like that, I'm like, you know what? I feel confident I should launch this business. And I want to start with activewear because I've yet to see activewear out there. I've seen again dresses and jewelries and who knows what, but not activewear. I've not seen that yet too. So that's why I started with activewear. The brand name is actually very unique as well. It took me kind of a while to kind of think of the brand name, and the name is called Shop 63. I'm like, Shop 63 is just like, it sounds pretty normal, but I'm like, well, here's a small catch here. I said, people ask me, I was like, so what does Shop 63 mean? I was like, well, how do you translate 6 in Hmong? It's Dao. I'm like, okay. How do you translate 3 in Hmong? I said, Bay. Okay, so now repeat the brand name again. Shop Dao Bay. Wait a minute. Shop Dao Bay. Shop. Shop for us. I'm like, you got it. That's what it is. Shop for us. It's what it literally would translate to shop for us. Yoto Pay, right? So we have a Facebook page called Yoto Pay and Shop 63 as well on there. But that's literally how the branding came about because it's really for you ladies. That's what I made it for. And that's the key component in making this first launch was I wanted to be inspired. Not only by it's inspired, but it's sentimental way too. Is Lu Hao Po Chung Shua, right? It's the Hmong purple turban. There's a lot of turbans of women, but that one is the most classic one and well known as well. And Panya has I can relate to Panya's song as well, Lu Hao Po Chung Shua, to that music song as well too. It's very sentimental to me as well. Why I thought of that design. So the inspiration came from that particular head purple turban. So if you look at a lot of design, there's a lot of variation, but the three very common colors is the purple, obviously, and the black and white, right? It's gay too. So if you look at all the design, there's a lot of variations of it, but it's purple, black and white, purple, black and white. And there's 1, 2 of them that actually looks like like a head, like a purple turban. So and that's one of the most sold activewear, sports bra and leggings actually on the website is that because again it means something to them.
It's symbolic. It's so symbolic for, like you said, the turban and the stripe on anything you immediately identify as, oh, that's part of my headwear, that's part of my turban, that's part of my outfit. It symbolizes Hmong women. And so that I think that was genius. I really love that idea of having as a part of your sportswear activewear line, because that definitely allows people to be proud of who they are, right? Like you said, it's just like the bow tie thing, that symbolic of the color lavender and the design and everything. And I think that that sportswear is I'm not surprised, like it's on demand right now. Like a lot of people love it. So I was looking at it and I go, that's so cool to finally have some sportswear that represents Hmong women or that symbolizes who we are, that's bringing part of our culture. So thank you for that.
I'm going to put a kicker in this one for those who are running a business is not only it symbolizes who we are, but when you buy something, one of the things why you buy is how you feel, right? How you feel. So that's the key thing in sales that I've learned is feeling, and that's a big feeling to all Hmong women.
Yeah.
Hence why it's a bestseller, right? It means a lot to them. I actually got so ingenious where I made the marketing on the reason why. What does this mean to them? I made a whole quick 5-10 minute video and I recorded every single lady's actual answer back, because I will ask him, what does the Hmong purple turban mean to you?
Yeah.
And it was all over the place. It was
Cool.
power or just independence, and I made it to pretty much an ad kind of promotion on it, and it was just a deep meaning. And one of the deepest meaning was this lady said, this headdress, my grandma made it for me, for me and my daughter. I mean, me and my sister, when we were young kids, and she taught us how to make it, and for us to wear it. But now that I passed away, I'm gonna do the same thing to my daughter, and I'm just like,
wow,
that's pretty deep, yo.
Yeah.
That kind of hit me in the feels a
Carrying
little
the
bit,
tradition, carrying the
Yeah,
legacy.
yeah.
It's carrying the love, the struggle, right? The struggle
Yeah.
that Hmong women, if not Hmong people, have carried with them for so many centuries, or all the times that they've had to, like my mom was saying, because right? So I recognize that yes, it does mean power. It means independence. It means also survivor, warrior. There's so many meanings behind it. But I really love that you made a 5 to 10 minute video of these women sharing what that means to them. I think that's genius. Absolutely, I agree with you. It's like how people feel when they buy your products is a huge thing. It's not so much about what have some people said. It's not just so much about how much it is, right? Like I'm not saying anything about like certain designs, like the lettering and stuff, but this means so much more. Like you said, it reminds them of their grandmother, their family, their struggle, the legacy. So with that said, my last question, because I've been wanting to ask you this, because ever since I met you, I've been wanting to know what is your desired legacy that you want to be remembered by, with all the things that you've done so far and accomplished? What's a legacy you want to leave behind, and what are some motivational messages that you want to inspire others who may want to walk in your footsteps, who may say, hey, Sheeso has done it. He went from the traditional quote unquote auto mechanic guy, and then he took risks and went into day trading and went to podcasting, into fashion. He's not only designing Hmong inspired menswear line, but he's also now designing women, right? Women's active wear. And he's now representing, I think he is representing the Hmong community now. Because I don't know, I mean, that's just what I'm thinking now as a viewer, as a customer, as a colleague, is like, what is your legacy now? What do you want people to remember you by? What motivational messages do you want to share with the community today?
I want to be known as the guy to go to every state and challenge a 1 pound pho and ate it all and completed it in every single 50 state.
Wow.
Jokes aside, but I do plan on eating pho in every 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
But besides the point, legacy is really about building your own brand, and that's why I be very strategic about just building my own business, doing my own thing. I wanted to see after my lifetime someone wearing my brand, right? And then you're like, hey man, grandma Rachel actually knows a guy who he was in a podcast, kind of knows him. That's something to really look for. Yeah. To hear that, right? And it feels so good when I see my stuff on the wild, and I will go up to them like, man, that's a nice belt, bro. Like, where'd you get that? Like they don't know the older, but I love doing that. It's just like, yeah, I got this belt.
That's so cool. I think that's the coolest thing.
I love seeing that.
Do you do that? Do you actually go?
I do.
Oh, really?
I've always done it. Yeah, I always done it. I was just like, if I see anybody wear it, I always go up to them like, man, that's a nice shirt, whatever, nice tie, whatever they're wearing. That's really nice, man. Where'd you get this? Oh yeah, I got this from here where I ordered it, or my something, whatever reason. I just love talking and engaging. Like, oh, that's cool, man. I gotta get me one or two, and I never tell who I am. But it's again leaving a legacy.
Now everybody's gonna know who you are. Hey, so if Sheeso's asking you about your belt and your
I'm kind of trolling you a little bit, but being genuine though. Yeah, I'm being genuine, but trolling at the same time too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's just a legacy, just seeing my stuff out in the wild. And I think even deeper in that too, having my dad having going to be surgery pretty soon here for his heart surgery. I know that for a fact when he goes in that coffin, I know what brand he's going to be wearing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so touching. And that's something that, I've been thinking about a lot too, about leaving my legacy, but I was thinking about your clothing line is um I can totally relate to that, is like having somebody wear something that represents that you create for your people, or if for people in general. And you know, you must be so proud and humbly proud, right? That you now are part, I think, of history, especially in the U.S. here, having, you know, um, the menswear line and the women's activewear. Like you said, if somebody were to pass away, they can wear your clothesline, and it's so symbolic, and it's so meaningful. So thank you so much for sharing your life, sharing everything that you've done so far with us, taking that risk and going with your curiosity, going with your identity, because I think that I believe more men out there, Hmong men definitely can learn a lot from your story and what you've done. So I just totally admire everything that you've done so far. I look forward to seeing more of everything that you have, in your podcast, the subjects that you're going to be talking about, relationships. I'm looking forward to, more of the Hmong women's Hmong inspired sports line, and even some of your men products. So I'm so happy that we are in this day and age of creativity. And so thank you so much for being here at Project We Inspire. We appreciate you and all the work that you've done.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming on.
All right, so everybody, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I try to keep these interviews to about an hour or so. It's been a pleasure to be your host and to be a part of Project We Inspire. We hope that our conversation today has inspired you to go for your dreams, your goals, and your passions. That's what we're here for. So together, we inspire for a better future. Again, I'm your host, Rachel Maye. I'm from Sacramento. And stay cool, stay hydrated, and be safe out there. Thank you, everybody.